Hello everyone, welcome back to Elite Tales. Here we discover the emotional and captivating stories about Elon Musk. In this video, we will capture the heartwarming moments of famous entrepreneur. Before we begin, I request you that please subscribe our channel for more interesting videos. It was a brisk morning, the sun just starting to rise above the horizon, casting a soft glow across the city streets. The air was cool, carrying with it a promise of the long day ahead. Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur known for his groundbreaking work with SpaceX and Tesla, had spent countless hours running companies, making deals, and changing the world. But today, he was doing something different. Today, he would experience life through a new lens. In the quiet corner of a small town, a construction site bustled with activity. Workers, some young and others seasoned, hurried about, setting up scaffolding, loading materials, and hammering away at the structures that would soon become homes for families who had yet to imagine the lives they would live within those walls. But among these workers, there was someone who was not who he appeared to be. Elon had decided to go undercover, to step away from his usual life, and see what it was like to live a day in the shoes of those who worked tirelessly every day to build the world around them. No one knew who he was. No one could have guessed that the man in the faded hoodie and work boots, standing among the others, was the same person responsible for transforming the future of space exploration, electric cars, and renewable energy. The day began like any other for the group of laborers, unaware of the extraordinary man in their midst. The air was filled with the sounds of power tools, the thud of wood being cut, and the sharp clang of metal against metal. But amidst the noise, something stood out. A young man who seemed eager to prove himself, even though he was clearly unfamiliar with the work. As Elon adjusted his work gloves, he felt the weight of the task ahead. It wasn't that he didn't know how to work hard. He had spent years building his companies, overcoming obstacles, and dealing with challenges that many would have found insurmountable. But this was different. This wasn't the world of boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. This was raw, physical labor. The kind that required not just mental strength, but endurance, patience, and a deep understanding of the value of hard work. His hands, so used to the delicate touch of a touchscreen or the click of a mouse, now gripped a hammer with surprising force. His first few swings were awkward, the metal head missing the nail completely, causing the surrounding workers to chuckle. But Elon didn't mind. In fact, he welcomed their laughter. After all, he was here to learn, not to impress anyone. At first, the other workers didn't think much of the new guy. He was just another young man trying to earn a paycheck, blending in with the crowd. But as the day wore on, they began to notice something different about him. Despite his initial clumsiness, he kept trying. He didn't shy away from the hard work. He didn't complain when the cold winds blew in, or when the weight of the work began to wear on his shoulders. There was a quiet determination in his eyes that spoke volumes. The foreman, a gruff man named Dave, noticed it first. Dave had been in the business for years. He'd seen all kinds of people come and go, but there was something about this new guy. Elon wasn't just working. He was observing. He watched how the workers moved with precision and skill, and when a mistake was made, he didn't just shrug it off. He asked questions, wanting to understand what went wrong, how they could fix it, and what they could do better next time. "You're really digging into it, aren't you?" Dave asked after a few hours of hard work. "Most people would have called it quits by now." Elon wiped the sweat from his brow and nodded. "I want to understand. I want to see what it's really like. The work you do here, the sweat and the struggle. It's not something you can learn from behind a desk." Dave chuckled. "You're right about that, but it ain't easy. You'll see that soon enough. These guys work hard, and it ain't always appreciated." The words stung, but they also struck a chord with Elon. He knew the labor force was often overlooked, even though they were the backbone of society. They built the infrastructure that kept the world moving. They put in long hours for little recognition, and yet their work was crucial. As Elon worked alongside the crew, he couldn't help but think about how many times the unsung heroes of society were ignored in favor of shiny new innovations or big-ticket deals. As the day went on, the tasks grew harder. Elon found himself in charge of unloading bricks, carrying them one by one to the site where the new houses would stand. His back ached, his hands blistered, and his legs began to feel the strain. But it wasn't just the physical toll that weighed on him. It was the realization that this work, this simple act of building, was so much more than just putting bricks on top of one another. At one point, as he was carrying a heavy load of bricks, he noticed a young man, maybe in his mid-20s, struggling with the same task. His face was red with effort, his breath shallow, and his movements stiff. Elon knew the man was about to give up. The task had been grueling, and the young worker was exhausted. Without a second thought, Elon walked over to him, offering a hand. "Let me help you with that," he said, gently taking the load of bricks from his hands. The young man looked at him, surprised. "You sure, man? You've been at it all day." Elon nodded. "We're all in this together. We help each other out." The young man's eyes softened, and he offered a weary smile. "Thanks, man. I don't know what I would have done without you." As the day wore on, Elon's understanding of the work deepened. He saw the tired faces of the laborers, each one carrying their own struggles, yet they continued. They carried the weight of the work, but they also carried the weight of their lives. Many had families to support, bills to pay, and dreams they hoped to one day achieve. The work they did wasn't glamorous, but it was vital, and though it often went unappreciated, the laborers knew that without their sweat and sacrifice, the world wouldn't turn. Elon felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had always been driven by big ideas, by grand visions of the future. But today, he realized something different. That real change wasn't just about groundbreaking technologies or billion-dollar companies. Sometimes real change was about doing the hard, often unnoticed work. Sometimes real change came from the simplest of actions, like offering help when it was needed most. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the construction site, Elon knew that this day had changed him. It had given him a new perspective, a new understanding of the struggles that many people faced every day. The world might praise the CEOs, the tech moguls, and the innovators, but without the everyday workers, none of it would be possible. As he left the site that evening, the weight of the day's experience lingered. He had learned so much, and though the work had been exhausting, it had been one of the most rewarding days of his life. Elon Musk, the billionaire, had gone undercover as a day laborer, and what happened next was more powerful than anything he could have ever imagined. As Elon Musk walked away from the construction site, the pain in his legs was a constant reminder of the day's labor. His work boots clacked against the pavement, but his mind was far from the usual business concerns that occupied his thoughts. Today, he had seen the world through the eyes of the men and women who worked tirelessly to build the very infrastructure of society. And as he thought about it, he realized that he had learned more than he had expected. The evening air was cold, biting at his face as he walked toward his car. He couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude, not just for the experience, but for the people he had met during the day. The workers had taught him something he had never considered before. They weren't just doing a job, they were putting their hearts into it. Every swing of the hammer, every brick laid, every piece of wood cut, was a small piece of their lives. They were investing everything they had into this work, and yet they often went unnoticed, unappreciated, and undervalued. Elon's car was parked just a few blocks away, but he wasn't in a rush to get inside. His mind kept returning to the young man who had almost collapsed under the weight of the bricks earlier in the day. He had looked so tired, so close to giving up. Elon had helped him without hesitation, without thinking about who he was or what he had accomplished. He had just seen someone in need, and he had offered his help. It was a small gesture, but at that moment, it felt like the most important thing he had done all day. As Elon drove back to his home, the city lights twinkled against the darkened sky. But he didn't feel the usual excitement or pride that accompanied his successes. Instead, there was a quiet humility inside him, a sense of purpose that had been missing from his life for a long time. The world of high-tech innovation, billion-dollar ventures, and world-changing projects seemed distant now. The real work, the work that truly mattered, was done by the people who didn't seek recognition. They didn't care about fame or fortune. They only cared about getting the job done, about supporting their families, and about leaving their mark on the world, no matter how small. Elon arrived home late that evening, and as he stepped into the warmth of his house, he found himself reflecting on the conversations he had with the workers. He thought about the families they supported and the dreams they held close, even as they struggled to make ends meet. He thought about how easy it was to forget the people who made everything possible, the workers who helped create the world he lived in. It was then that Elon had an idea that would change everything. The next day, he called his team together at Tesla's headquarters. He had spent the entire night thinking about what he had learned, and now he was ready to take action. As he walked into the room, the engineers, executives, and staff greeted him with the usual respect. But there was something different in his demeanor. He was focused, determined, but also deeply humbled. "Yesterday, I spent the day working alongside some of the hardest working people I've ever met," Elon began, addressing the room. People who get up every morning, put on their boots, and work through pain and exhaustion to build the very infrastructure that allows our lives to run smoothly. These are the unsung heroes, the people who keep the world moving, but they rarely get the recognition they deserve. The room was silent as Elon continued. "I've realized that as a society, we've overlooked them for far too long. We've become so focused on technology and innovation that we've forgotten the human element behind it all. We need to change that." Elon paused for a moment, allowing his words to sink in. He could see the looks of curiosity on his team's faces, but he wasn't finished. "I want to do something that will change the way we think about labor, and I want to start by giving back to the people who make all of this possible. We're going to create a program, a partnership with construction workers, day laborers, and others in similar fields, to provide them with the tools, education, and resources they need to succeed. We're going to invest in their future, just like we invest in ours." The room erupted in applause, but Elon wasn't done. "We're also going to make sure these workers are paid a fair wage, one that reflects the value they bring to society. No more undervaluing their work. We're going to ensure that every person in this country who works hard has the opportunity to build a better life for themselves and their families." The team cheered, excited by Elon's vision. But Elon's mind was already turning, thinking about the next step. He knew that changing the world required more than just words. It required action. "I want you all to start working on this program immediately," Elon said, his tone firm and unwavering. "We'll work with local governments, community organizations, and other businesses to make sure that these workers have access to the resources they need. We'll create a system that not only supports them, but also helps them achieve their dreams. And we'll do it with the same level of commitment and passion that we put into every project at Tesla." As Elon left the meeting, he couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment he hadn't experienced in years. It wasn't about making money or gaining recognition. It was about giving back, about making a real difference in the lives of the people who made everything possible. The workers who had shaped the world he lived in deserved more than just a paycheck. They deserved respect, dignity, and the opportunity to build a future for themselves. Later that week, Elon returned to the construction site where he had worked undercover. This time he wasn't there to blend in. He wasn't there to observe. He was there to take action. The workers looked up in surprise as Elon walked toward them, this time dressed in a well-tailored suit. his usual sleek and confident self. But there was something different in the way he carried himself. It was as if the man they had worked beside just days before had been replaced by someone who understood them, someone who saw their struggles and was ready to help. "Hey everybody," Elon called out, his voice carrying across the site. "I'm back, and I want to let you know that I've been working on something big for all of you." The workers gathered around, curiosity in their eyes. Elon smiled and continued. "I've spoken with my team, and we're going to start a program to support people like you. Workers who give everything to make this world a better place. We're going to provide training, better wages, and resources to help you achieve your dreams. You all deserve better, and I'm here to make sure you get it." The workers stood in stunned silence, processing what they had just heard. Then, one by one, they started clapping, their faces lighting up with hope and excitement. Elon had done it. He had taken the lessons he had learned on that undercover day and turned them into action. He had made the commitment to give back to the people who made his success possible. And in doing so, he had made a promise to create a world where hard work was celebrated, not overlooked. As Elon Musk stood before the workers on that construction site, a sense of fulfillment washed over him. The work he had done undercover had opened his eyes to the true essence of success. It wasn't in the billions he had amassed or the groundbreaking technologies he had pioneered. It was in the small moments of connection, the raw human effort, and the unwavering spirit of those who worked tirelessly to make the world a better place. The workers, still in shock from the announcement, began to applaud louder, their faces a mixture of disbelief and gratitude. For so long they had been invisible, their contributions overlooked, and their value unappreciated. But now, thanks to Elon's commitment, they felt seen. They felt heard. They felt like they mattered. Elon took a step forward, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I want to tell you all something. When I first started in business, I had the privilege of working with people who taught me everything I know. And that's exactly why I'm here today. It's not just about creating the next big thing in technology. It's about giving people the tools and resources to create a future they can be proud of." His words were simple, but they were filled with a depth of understanding that resonated deeply with the workers. They weren't just hearing a billionaire talk about the future. They were hearing someone who had seen their struggles and was now offering them hope. "Every one of you has a role to play in building a better world, and I'm here to make sure that you get the respect, resources, and recognition you deserve." A few of the workers wiped tears from their eyes, their hands trembling with emotion. They had never expected to hear such words from someone like Elon Musk, someone they had assumed was far removed from their reality. Yet here he was, not as a billionaire CEO, but as a person who saw them for who they truly were. Elon's promise wasn't just about changing the way workers were treated. It was about transforming the very culture of work. It was about ensuring that every person, no matter their background or job, had the opportunity to succeed and to be proud of what they did. As he left the site that day, Elon couldn't help but smile. The future was bright, not just for the tech world, but for the everyday workers who made it all possible. And as the workers went back to their tasks, they felt something they hadn't in years: hope. This wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of something much bigger. And Elon Musk, a man known for his innovations in space and technology, had now proven that his true legacy would be the lives he touched, the people he uplifted, and the future he helped create for those who had long been forgotten. The work that had started in the trenches, on that construction site, with hard labor and sweat, was now reaching into the hearts of millions. Elon Musk had shown them that even the smallest act of kindness and recognition could make the biggest difference in the world. And as the workers stood there, they didn't just see a man who had achieved great things. They saw someone who understood their struggles, who respected their work, and who was willing to change the system for them. And for the first time in a long while, they believed that things could truly get better, The world had changed that day, not because of a new technology or breakthrough, but because a simple truth had been realized. The most valuable asset in any society isn't its wealth, but its people. And Elon Musk has done more than just support them. He had empowered them, reminding them of the immense value they brought to the world. The workers, once just faces in the crowd, were now empowered, seen, and valued. And as they moved forward, they knew they had a true champion in their corner, someone who didn't just change industries, but who changed lives. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more heartwarming tales, and share it with your friends. Let's spread the message that kindness, recognition, and respect can create a ripple effect that transforms the world for the better. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, where the next inspiring story will remind us all of the power of human connection and compassion.